Hey everyone, welcome to Bean to Barstool Bite Sized, where we spend about 5 minutes with some of our favorite people from craft beer and craft chocolate. Today we hear from AJ Wentworth from Chocolate Conspiracy. AJ loves craft beer almost as much as he loves craft chocolate and has collaborated with several breweries around the Salt Lake City, Utah area on beers and bars that blur the flavor lines between beer and chocolate, including bars made with Uinta Baba Black Lager, Level Crossing, Solrex Double IPA, and Kiitos Coffee Cream Ale. We talk about his development process for those bars and working with the bold flavors of a double IPA.
With the trial and error with beer, we did a lot of things. Fisher Beer was the one that really kind of spurred the experimentation. The first thing they gave me, I got like a liquid concentrated hops. And because we were trying to do like hops and honey bar, and that shit was whack. It was like this thick syrup. It was crazy strong. We've also tried to like a beer caramel, so we've reduced the beer and then we add the reduction into the chocolate. Again, it's still liquid, but it's like basically get rid of most of the water content, so it's
Mhm.
just like again beer syrup, but again it didn't hold all the flavors. So we've tried that. We've also used just like powdered hops, like kind of basically like the hops pellets that brewers use.
Mhm.
We've powdered those and then added that into the chocolate. We found that over time it goes rancid. I have a raw cuisine background. It was kind of a concept of doing raw where you soak a lot of things. So you soak a lot of your nuts and seeds to make them enzymatically active, strain them off, and then you dry them. And that way you still have dried nuts that have been cleaned and are enzymatically active. And so that they kind of just piqued my brain a little. I was like, well, I can do that with the cocoa nibs. We can soak them, we can dehydrate them, because that was already something I had been doing in my background. So it just kind of clicked. And so we're like, all right, let's try it with beer. And the first time we're like, okay, our favorite beer is Baba. And then we were doing small batches of Fisher beers that they do. It's called Citra Bomb Tom. We did one of their reds, one of their browns. So it was cool with Fisher because we could just go over and grab a growler and do some smaller test batches. So, when I just go grab like a 12 pack from Uinta and well, Baba, and we did a test batch. And out of all the beers we tried, Baba was the one that we were like, okay, this is the one we need to produce. And since we had a relationship with them, we're like, how do you guys feel about a collaboration? We're like, is this something you want to do as far as co-branding, co-packaging? Do you want to like have your logo on our packaging? We market your bars, you market our chocolate, and he was all about it. And we did the same with the Solrex and the coffee cream. They all kind of just happened at the same time.
With the Solrex, the double IPA, that has some flavors that could potentially clash or overpower with chocolate. Was there a process of dialing that in to make sure that that played well with the other flavors?
Not really. One thing we've noticed is the soak time and the dry time's the same for everything, just as long as the beans are like 100% dry, they're
Mhm.
fine. It doesn't really affect the flavor. The soaking time, depending on if we like really make sure that we have to stir the beans every few days to make sure everything's like evenly soaked. But what affects the flavor, what I've noticed, is our grind times. And that's the same with any cacao. It doesn't matter if it's a beer flavored or not. So, like our normal nibs, if we grind for like 3 or 4 days, there's still that like really kind of sharp banana astringency to it. And then if we let it grind for like up to 9 days, that flavor kind of tones down because it's been sitting there churning and oxygenating for so long. It's basically breaking down the chemical compounds. The flavor notes drop off and become a little more nutty, and that sharp fruitiness kind of cuts down. And so with the double IPA, we found that kind of same thing where if we do a short grind, you get a lot of that really bold hoppiness, and it's a pretty strong beer, but like you get that alcohol taste right away. But that if we let it grind or we let it age after it's done grinding and let it sit, those flavors really meld and they don't clash.
When you're tasting these bars after the fact, do you feel like you can identify the flavor from the beer coming through directly, or does it kind of alter a little bit in that process?
No, I can for sure. We've done it's funny we did we did a ton of tests. There's a brewery called Roja And we did, again, another event. We did it for an event. We produced a bunch of bars for them. We did this fun event at Harmon's. It was this big beer and chocolate pairing, super fun. But we made all these bars, and then when we ended up moving our chocolate shop, we had this box that got kind of jostled in the moving truck, and so all the flavors were mixed up, and we had no idea. But they were just they were like the leftover bars from the event. So they were all jostled, but they were all they were all just wrapped in foil. And so once we moved, we opened them up. We're like, oh, like, damn, because it was like 3 or 4 different beers. But once we laid them all out, we just went through, and they were different colored foils. So we knew we could separate them. We just didn't label which colored foil they were. So we separated all by foil, we tasted them all, and we were able to tell which ones they were.
You can find out more about Chocolate Conspiracy and their beer bars in the show notes. You can listen to my entire conversation with AJ back in episode 52. I'll share that in the show notes as well. The music today was by my dear friend Anna P.S. My name is David Nilsson. Thanks again for listening to Bean to Barstool Bite Sized.